This is the next thing that must be fixed. My family didn't start as they kind of started like nomads before they became royalty. Before they started actually, they were a military force who eventually became kings and things like that. So the thing is, they came originally from the Middle East as part of the 7 tribes that came. They became very well known, but very well hidden, because some of them were Jewish, and everybody hates the Jews, as everybody knows. So the things are that they came, and so there's also this other stuff about Anunnaki and Darwin. This kind of stuff, I don't know. There's a lot of hype about this kind of stuff now, and people are starting to believe that maybe the aliens really did help us, because there's no way we could have built a lot of the things that we built. It's impossible with the tools that we had and stuff. Impossible. But if there were aliens, they probably weren't really that much more advanced, because why did they build everything out of stone? They could have built it out of some really special, foreign substance too. So I don't know. Anyway, there's a lot of holes in everybody's story. Now, what I want to show you is, see how the pictures move down? Well, Adam and Eve, I don't know when that started exactly, but 27 BC. Well, there's a lot of stuff before Jesus as well, and then Jesus of Nazareth. You can trace our family back to the Romans, but how far, I'm not exactly sure. 1035 maybe, but I'm not sure. Okay, so anyway, so what's not mentioned here is Plato, which is Bohemia, which was King Lazarus, and it isn't mentioned anywhere here, which is strange. So King Lazarus is actually before Subic, so that was also not mentioned, which has to be mentioned as well. I've included information on another video. When you get to about here in our history, roughly, this is the Berber of... Now, the Berbers were also, if you look at their costumes and everything, you can tell that they're like, they look like Middle Easterners, okay? They even had curved swords and all kinds of other stuff. Just look at the way that they're dressed compared to the medieval, knights and stuff like that. Nikola Zubik-Zirinsky was a relative of mine. Also, he came from the, as far as I know, from the Middle East. Now, Zirinsky, the history of Zirinsky I can explain to you in more detail. It will just be in my voice. Something to the effect that when he married a Subic, his name was something else. I don't know what it was, but it was not Subic, and it was not Zirinsky. But when he married Subic's daughter, Subic gave him a castle that used to be a Zrin, Z-R-I-N, castle. And what he did, in honor of the people that owned that castle before, he changed his last name to Zirinsky. Zirin being the castle name, or the name of the family before, and the ski, not because he skis, but because he just felt like it. Okay, so when Zirinsky died out in Szigetvar, actually Zirinsky fought off the Turks twice. The first time he was successful fighting off the Turks that weren't able to take over Austria, because the Turks were going after Austria. So he pushed the Turks back. The second time they went after Hungary. And the Turks stopped the war near the end, knowing that they would wipe everybody out in Szigetvar, in the castle there, where Zirinsky was fighting from, and they offered him a deal that he can be the mayor of that town where that castle was, and they will spare his life. But he decided not to do that, and he lost his life. He never had children, so everyone thought that he died. The Zirin name died, but the Zirin name died well before that. Okay, it died out. I think the Subics wiped them out, if I'm not mistaken, but it could have been some other tribe. Okay, so the Subics, so his name, Nikola Subik-Zirinsky, is actually not this. It's Nikola something else. It's actually more Nikola Subic, because he joined the Subic family when when Nicola married Subik's daughter. Okay, so that's the truth of that. Some guy I met actually and his wife, they were camping in a place. Unfortunately, they were leaving that day. I wish that I could have talked to them more. That guy knew even more stuff about my family than I even knew about my own family. I wanted to record everything, but he didn't want me to record him. That was really a shame. I remember. The good thing is I have a near photographic memory, and I remember almost everything people tell me. So I'm able to, give this information to a certain extent. But he had tons and tons of information. I couldn't have remembered all of it anyway, and all of the names. One thing that's really bad is that I don't remember names too well. Okay, so anyway, I put the history of medieval armor here, even though there is no history of medieval armor, but you can find some stuff and stick it in there, or I will find some stuff and stick it in there. The Middle Eastern armor was much more sophisticated, and the swords of better steel, and I don't know, all kinds of stuff. Spanish steel was also very good, was also very well known in those days, but the Middle Eastern blades were also very, very good. So that's all that I know. Armor before the medieval period, I don't know. They used leather and all kinds of other stuff like that. 15th century chainmail, suits of armor, blah blah blah. So all that stuff, this kind of stuff came later. And there is a place here showing how. Now I went to. This is Maria or Magdalene Subik. Okay, this is the woman who married Nikolai, as far as I know. This is a picture of Nikolai in his glory, what he looked like. Nothing like a medieval, typical medieval prince. Okay, so anyway, he was a great. What the Subics did is they educated. They started universities and started educating their population because they knew that without a well-educated population, a proper democracy wouldn't exist. And these people were smart, smarter than the medieval Germans or even the French of the time, because everybody other than the clergy and royalty had an education. Everybody else was some lowlife by comparison. That's kind of sad in a way. This was Zurin's last castle, and it's still standing there. But as far as I know, they died out well before anything else. And there's tons of information down here that's missing, so I'd like to also provide this for you on the other site. I think it's there, ez123.eu. There's more information about my royal family there that should have been put here. And this background is terrible. Way up at the top, the background should look like some of these buildings that are still standing today. This kind of background showing this building or whatever it is without the tourists in it, even this kind of background with old paper and stamps on it and stuff like that. Okay, but I added this, but it's not the correct thing, just to make it kind of more cool. And when I found my relative's burial in the church of the Bohemian king, Lazarus, then I met these guys that were posing, to be fighting, and they were fighting and doing a fighting scene, and they didn't have really good camera equipment for it. So I lent them my GoPro systems, and I helped them, photograph their fighting. And these are the two guys that were fighting each other in the video that is not here, and I don't know why that video was never put here. So I'm going to give you those videos as well to put in. Okay.